Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, another day in the exciting life of an IT guy. We're going to leave the shelter of Unky Joe's Playhouse and travel out into the wild and woolly city. So, you want to go with me? Come on, let's go. Alright, so got the wireless keyboard set up. The unit is doing Windows updates. It's in place, so we'll get this to the point where I can connect up to it remotely and we'll finish the rest of it from the home office. Don't need to be sitting here at the client site in the city. You can see I'm way up on the 8th floor in this building. Yes, it's quite a lovely building. It is. Okay, so, but let me show you what's going on in the server room. So, I put the PC here, number 27, and I verified the user can get back in. But look at this. I have so much stuff on this rack right now that I am really not happy with this setup. So, what we're going to do, now they have a couple of super micro servers here, but one is being used right now as their firewall. And the other one is being used as a, it's not a SAN anymore. It is running some Hyper-V machines, but since we have the Synology NAS here at this client site, I really don't need this for file storage up here. So what I'm going to do is reconnoiter some stuff. I'm going to pull that IBM 3650 Model 3 I have in stock, and I'm going to put it in this rack. And we're going to use that to do their virtualization, because what I'd like to do is virtualize their PBX. Right now I've got it temporarily running on this, and I'd like to virtualize some other, they have a need now, since they have a remote workforce, to run some VMs so that people can connect from home into these VMs. So I want to try and virtualize as much as I can, including the machine that I come into, because right now it's a physical machine and I want it to be a virtual machine. So we're going to come back to this site and reconnoiter. Now this client's also getting ready to remodel their office. So right now they have a bunch of, you can see there's an office down there, there's an office in here, and listen, you can hear this. I got a machine with a noisy fan. I need to address that today. It's an older Dell, so I don't know whether it's a power supply fan or if it's a system fan, but I'll deal with that. But yeah, so I got to deal with that. And like I said, they have 3 different offices down here along this side of the building. And what the client is in a conference room, where, as you can see, I've got my little work area set up. So what the client has decided to do is knock out these walls and make this one big office space without walls in between them. And then we can put cubbies in here, cubicles, and lots of drops, and cram a lot more computers in here than we're doing now, because while I would love to virtualize all the machines they're working on at this office, a lot of them are running AutoCAD, and it really doesn't run well under a virtualized machine. And you know, once this craziness is over with, you know what, I would love to. I imagine we'll be seeing people coming back to the office and physically working, although some may just continue working at home, and this client is open to that. So anyway, here we go. So I'm going to get this one prepped so I can connect to it remotely. I've got to swap out, this one has 64 gig of RAM I need to move to another machine, so I'm going to do that today while I'm here, and maybe I'll get some shots of that. So if you've never seen these Dell XPS units, they're kind of cool the way they set them up. Basically, to take the side cover off, you have this lever back here and you pull out or pull back on it. The cover comes off, and then you flip this locking mechanism up and this locking mechanism up, and then basically you lay the computer on its side, and then you grab hold of this, you lift the power supply and the little mounting bracket up as one unit, and then that gives you access to the CPU and RAM slots right down there. Now the customer ordered this with 64 gig of RAM by mistake, and it was only supposed to have 32. So I've taken 32 out of another unit they ordered that was supposed to have the 64 gig, and I put it into here, or put the RAM from here into that unit, booted it up and made sure it's working, and so now I'm putting that 32 gig in here. So I'll get it back together and make sure it's working. Alright, so we got the unit back together. See if it'll power on. See if I can get the old monitor to light up. There we go. Alright, so I'll go in, I'll make sure it's got the, yeah, see it says reseat the memory, and I'm just going to tell it, to continue right here. And that is nice of Dell to tell me, though. It should just boot into Windows. Good, and then I can finish configuring it. So, RAM moved, job done. Yay! So here's the replacement power supply, and it's Dell part number 04FGD7, and it has a 4-pin and a 6-pin connector, and that's it. That's all there is, because all the other peripherals get their power off the board. So why Dell decided to do this on their Model T 1700, I don't know. And it makes the power supply hard to find. And there's a lot of people out there that cheat on these power supplies. It's even hard to get from Dell. My handy dandy assistant has managed to get the Dell T1700 up on the desktop here. And you can see this machine is no slouch. It has a couple of NVIDIA Quadra K620 cards in here. These came from Dell that way. This computer's in an engineering firm, so they need lots of power. But as you can see, this is the offending power supply we need to replace. And again, it only has a 4-pin and a 6-pin power connector. So I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to take a look-see here. Okay, now my lovely assistant is going to run the camera for me. Alright, so first thing, we'll unplug the 4-pin power connector, a little latch, and then pull straight up. Same way with this power connector here. We're going to pull our little chingamadero down there, separate it, and then we're going to very carefully pull that out. Now, if I know Dell, I should just be able to push on that. Okay, so there are 4 screws on the back here holding this in. My cameraman will shoot down there. Can you get it? This goes down that way. This goes up that way, right? Paying attention? Sorry. That's it. No, one more. 4 screws. Alright, now come back to the top. I'm going to flip it around. Now I should be able to push that latch. And there's the power supply. Neat as you please. Okay, so here's the new power supply right here. So I should just sit it here. Slide it forward. You heard the latch catch. I'm going to go ahead and put my 4 screws back in here. You gotta hand it to Dell. They really make a nice machine. Even though it's not manufactured and assembled in the US, they sure do design a slick machine. I like working on Dells. And just for the ease of computing, it's what I tell my clients to buy, because they last. I know Dell's had some trouble in the past with, they bought some cheap capacitors at one time, but for the most part they stand behind their products. Okay, so now 4-pin connector goes up here. Alright, And this connector comes down through here, remember, and plugs into the motherboard. This is one of the things I have to say I don't like about this Dell, the fact that they don't have individual power plugs for each component. That's the way most manufacturers do it. Instead, Dell did a proprietary design that has you draw power off the motherboard here for these components. While that's okay, I don't like it, because what if the power distribution on the motherboard gets screwed up? It's just one more point of failure. I would just rather have a power supply running the whole computer system. Okay, so now should be able to put the cover back on, and that should do it. Power supply is installed. Here's the old one. Get a shot of this, the tag. Here's the part number. If you're ever in need of one of these Dell power supplies, just do a Google search on that. DP is Dell part number. Do a search on that and you'll be able to find the power supply. DVD, super speed USB, no USB 3 or C, audio and power and hard drive indicator. And there you go. Wow, take a note, it's got 4 mini DisplayPort adapters. Wow. Cool. Then it should be this. And it should be the case. The panel comes off like this. We can unlock this and unlock that. And once we do that, then we can open her up and take a look-see. Come on. So it's a Radeon Pro WX 3200. It's got 16 gig of RAM. The CPU is right there. The M.2 drive is right down there. If you can see it, M.2 should be a 512 gig. And then they ordered this one also with a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive, and that'll be in the front. So the power supply is actually, it doesn't look proprietary, so it's got a regular 4-pin and a 24-pin power plug, so that's good news. Get a little light on the subject. So it's got a regular 24-pin and a 4-pin power header. There is no power connector on the Radeon card. RAM. There's a USB plug up here, and then the power supply, which is lifted out of the way. Now the other thing I ordered for this customer was a Netgear GS324TP 100 NAS switch. It is a PoE, power over Ethernet switch. It is also rack mountable, so all 24 ports are PoE and 30 watts per port maximum. So, and it also has SFP connectors for a link over. Right now this switch is just going to sit here on this conference room table, and I went ahead and got the Netgear because it has it's a pro support switch, so it's got a limited lifetime warranty on these switches. And I would have gone with a Unify or an Edge switch, but as you know, I had that Edge switch that had the power supply go out in it. Could not get a repair or replacement from Ubiquiti, so I won't be doing business with them anymore, not for my clients. And this comes, of course, with the rack mounting ears. I'm going to go ahead and put those on there. But I'm also going to put the little feet on the bottom that they send, because this is going to be sitting on a table for now. And I got a POE because they have POE phones as well, so we're going to have some phones on here. So another successful afternoon's work. So we've got these are Dell Precision 3630 workstations with i7 processors, 16 gig of RAM. You saw me set them up at the office. And then dual 27-inch monitors. These are really, really sweet machines. You know how I love Dells. This one has a keyboard and mouse, the Dell keyboard and mouse, but ultimately they're going to get a wireless keyboard and mouse. You like my little redneck mouse pad? Yeah, they don't have any mouse pads, and this is a conference table, so in order for the mouse to track, it has to have something to track on. And I want these folks to be able to hit the ground running come Monday morning. And then, with social distancing in mind, there's another workstation over here on the opposite side of the conference table. Same setup, except it has the Logitech Wave wireless keyboard and mouse, two 27-inch monitors, and then the PC. And then I've got a phone here that they can share temporarily. And then I just went ahead and set the the Netgear switch here. This is a PoE switch. It'll ultimately be going in the rack, but we're just setting it here for now so they can add workstations later as they need to, or plug in PoE phones. I went ahead and put the rack ears on it so that I didn't lose them, because if I don't put them on now, I'm going to find them in 2 or 3 weeks time and I won't be able to see them at all. Now on Monday they have battery backup units coming in for these. Right now they're not running on a battery backup, but the client will install them come Monday and make sure they're working. And I've also labeled the switch so that nobody turns it off, and of course the power strip so nobody turns it off, because you can see it's a little full. So there you go, and here's a wide shot. All done. Now to configure these bad boys. Now this client is an engineering firm, and engineers have special requirements for their PCs, and one of those is typically really good video cards, because if they're using any sort of CAD design program, they need the oomph. And while I try to guide this client on what machines to buy, ultimately he wants to buy what he wants to buy. Normally I would get a low-end machine in there, or I would give people a laptop and then create a remote or a virtual machine. But he's an old school engineer. He wants to have plenty of power on the desktop, and so I grant him his wishes. Ultimately, he's paying the bill. So, however, this is the client that we are going to put that IBM right there, that 3450 Model 3 in. And because I do want to try and consolidate some of his computing. He's got a lot of computers in that server room doing a lot of different stuff, and I just want to kind of consolidate that. So he's agreed to lease that server from me, and to put all the virtual machines on there, the virtual servers that we don't need to have physical machines for, and to kind of reduce his footprint for as far as machines go. Let's talk about that power supply on the Dell. Now, these new Dells that I showed you that the client got, they don't have these proprietary power supplies in there. So I don't know if Dell's learned their lesson or what, but there is a way to adapt a regular power supply to that T1700. I just didn't do it. I wanted to go with a genuine Dell power supply, but that power supply is kind of underpowered. It's only 290 watts, and there are 2 video cards in that machine, but they don't have supplemental power on them, so they pull less than 75 watts off the bus, so they should be all right. I saved that old power supply. What I'll do is take the fan out of it and put a new one in and just repair it myself rather than having to wait. But you notice on these new Dells, they don't have these proprietary 6-pin, 4-pin power connectors, drawing power off the motherboard, which I think is a bad idea. It's just another point of failure anyway. So, but it looks like on these new Dell, the P3630s, whatever they are, they pull they've got a regular standard power supply in them. So kudos to Dell for that. So there you go, YouTube. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. as always, word to the wise, always buy Dell computers. No, it's not an advertisement for Dell, but I am a bit of a Dell fanboy. However, Lenovo is winning me over as well. So donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal, Patreon, and of course we have the ever-present join button on YouTube. So if you're so inclined, kick some money our way so we can keep making content for you. And tell all your friends about us. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that notification bell. Hit the like button. Thumbs up on the like. And leave your comments down below. And please, don't forget that we will see you on the other side.